We were watching this developing story out of Newcastle, Indiana, at the Newcastle Correctional Facility, where inmates for several hours took over a part of the prison. There was a riot, according to the mayor, that happened inside this correctional facility, which holds 1,000 to 2,000 inmates, depending on what report you're looking at here. According to what we've heard from authorities, there were several fires set on scene, that prisoners were running around with makeshift weapons, and 2 corrections officers were hurt in this so far. That's the latest reports we're getting. This, of course, is raising a lot of issues about what caused this and how this got so out of control. We do know that hundreds of inmates have been brought in from out of state, specifically Arizona, as part of a phase-in plan to help with the prison population overcrowding problem out of the state of Arizona. And according to some of the local reports and interviews with people who have family members inside the prison, there was warning about what was going to go down at this prison today, that inmates were very upset about being brought from Arizona to this facility, and that people inside this facility didn't want any out-of-staters coming into their facility. So we don't have confirmation as to what the cause of this was, but definitely some perspective in terms of the transition that this prison was undergoing over the past few months. We're joined by local radio reporter Devin Scott, who's been helping us with this perspective. Devin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Tell me a little bit more about what you've heard about what's been going down in the past hour.
Well, we got an official statement from the Department of Corrections. They say 3 cell blocks were initially involved in this, and that it was a conflict between Indiana inmates and the Arizona inmates that were brought in last month. We haven't heard how many injuries, although we have confirmed that there are 2 injuries, but there may be more. I know there's a line of ambulances outside of the facility. We also got word from the South Henry schools, which are about 12 miles from the Newcastle prison. They have canceled all their evening activities, and in the words of their superintendent, the reason for that was just to err on the side of caution, and just so they didn't have any more incidents, going back to what happened at Virginia Tech. They were a little concerned that inmates may have gotten loose.
And Devin, we do have the latest information from the facility as well, that they're, according to the facility and for the spokesperson there, that there were no escapees. Of course, that's one of the problems here in a situation like this that you want to deal with as an authority trying to contain it. And we do know that, according to the mayor and some reports here, the mayor of Newcastle, that they were trying to tear down a fence. Do we have confirmation from what you've been hearing that nobody has escaped from this facility?
I have not heard one way or the other. We're getting conflicting reports about that.
And you guys, to your radio station, you had a caller who notified you as to what they thought this was caused by early on, before we got information from the correction facility spokesperson that there is indeed some sort of rift between the out-of-state inmates coming into the facility and the ones that are already there. You had a caller who told you that that was the case.
That's correct. Just after 2 o'clock, we received a phone call from a man who said his brother was an inmate at the facility and had access to a cell phone. He said his brother had called once to say that there was a fight. The same individual called back a few minutes later and said that it was a full-scale riot. Mm-hmm. And he said that it had stemmed from the conflict between the Indiana inmates who were already there and the Arizona inmates who had been moved in last month.
And, of course, that was corroborated a little bit from the local reporting on the scene from WTHR, where a mother of an inmate was speaking to the local reporter, saying that they were actually warned about this and that there was some sort of discussion that something was going to go down today, and even warning to corrections officers not to come to work today because something bad was going to happen. Clearly that has happened. It is what we're hearing at this point, and just from what we're seeing, Devin, it appears to be contained. Is that what you're hearing?
I just actually got off the phone a few minutes ago with a spokeswoman for the facility. She would not say a whole lot, but she did say that they were working to contain it and that emergency responders were on the scene.
And Devin, adding to that, when we were watching the local reporter on the scene with the prison behind him, the reporter on the ground, this was about 20 minutes ago, and even though the situation from the sky appears to be contained, you saw inmates walking back in and corrections officers and state police monitoring the perimeter. You got a sense that it was contained, but then behind the local reporter that we were watching just about 20 minutes ago, there were cop cars racing in. This is a privately run facility, is it not?
That's correct. It's run by a Florida-based company called Geo. Mm-hmm. And they have actually referred all calls to the Department of Corrections, even though it's privately run. And that was a deal that was brokered last year.